Featherweight friends, good to see you. Hey, I was just noticing every time, one of the first people I see on here every time is Heidi from Snohomish. And every time I see that, I'm so excited because I've got kids up there too, you know, so I think I told you that before, Heidi. But welcome everybody. We have some fun things. Marianne is not with me today. I thought I should probably just tell you that. She is, you know, she's our maintenance, our knowledge one about the little attachments and things like that. Full disclosure, I don't know anything about attachments. I just love my machine because it sews a beautiful little tiny straight stitch. So I'm trying really hard today to show you the one that she showed me how to use. So if you guys have any questions or comments about it, if I don't show you something about it, put it into the comment section, and then I know Marianne will be able to see this later, and we can always answer you too. So,
we're having camera problems. We're live, okay. Live TV.
Yeah, Adam was stressing out this morning. I was like, hey, if we don't go live, I'm okay, no problem. Because this is a stress for me just preparing for it. But, you know, it really shouldn't be because, I mean, I can't see you and it's just like I'm just talking to myself. So all right, let's get to it. We have done 4 blocks. We do 12 blocks, you know, for our little featherweight block of the month kind of thing. We are back to, well, I actually started this before with the group that was, you know, in shop before we weren't allowed to be in the shop. And we did 8 blocks before we started on the virtual. So we are going back to block 1, and we'll go block 1 to 8. And so our first block was a pretty easy one. It was this Jacob's ladder right here. So I started out making patriotic ones, but then I also wanted to make kind of a modern looking one too. So I've got my green and gray. I took a poll from my daughters, and I showed them my whole stash, and I said, so what colors do you think I should put in this? I want to make it monochromatic. And they said, oh, a couple of them said the green and gray, so I'm going with that. So it's a pretty simple block, and I will remind you that on the website you get the pattern for free today. You can download it today. It is this Jacob's ladder. Most of you probably are clear on how to make those. It's not a difficult block, but I will just go over the steps of it. This is the 13.5 inch. We have it in 2 sizes. This is our 13.5 inch one, and then we've also got our 9 inch finished. So I'm making another one of those. So the first thing you need to do, and this is all slow sewing. We don't do a whole lot of the rapid piecing, although I do chain piece over here. The first thing we need to do is we need to mark the larger blocks. It's listed on here as the blocks that are 4, you cut them 4 inches. So I've got my, both sides of that, it's like this green and gray. I marked my diagonal line on the gray, and so I'm just going to go ahead and sew that for you real quickly. And just stitch that one out. I keep my stitches kind of tiny. I probably don't need to, but I like them really close and tiny because I mean, if you look close at that, those stitches are so beautiful. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway. Okay, let me continue on with this one real quick. All right, so let me take this one out. And then I'm going to cut it right down the middle on the pencil line I marked on it in preparation for class. Okay, press it open. I always press to the dark. I'm an old school quilter. I press to one side almost all the time. Sometimes I will press seams open, but not all the time. Then I just square this to for the small one, I'm squaring it to 3.5 inches, just to be safe. And let me see, 1, 2, 3.5. Probably don't need to do a whole lot because the measurements that we've got them 4 inches where you're cut for the pattern, it gives you almost a perfect 3.5 when you stitch it together with a good proper 1/4 inch seam allowance. So am I doing okay for you, Adam?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so there you go. That one would go right there. that one right there. And I don't know where I laid my other one. Oh, right there. So I would square this one up as well. Then you need to sew your little 4 patches. I've got one put together right here. They work out great. Let's see. And you cut those for the 9-inch finished one. You cut those at 2-inch squares. So this finishes at 3.5 as well. And when you do the seam, so the whole block will be 9 inches. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. So let me get a couple of those sewn together. Let's see here. Let me get my starter. I like to start in fabric. We've talked about it before. I don't like to get my threads tangled down in there, in that bobbin. Anybody got any comments or anything they want to share right now? Or
A lot of people are saying hello. So,
hello.
Yep, and that they love the patriotic colors on your one.
Oh, that's sweet. I've got 4 big ones because I wasn't actually doing it. I wasn't actually sewing it together, but then I decided, you know what? I may as well do that because I really love patriotic quilts. And this being such a big block, 13.5 inches finished, that'll make a good size, you know, throw quilt real easy and real quick. So what other ones do I have to sew together? Oh, I guess I got them all. Okay, so then I'm going to take these, press them open, pressing toward the green. And let's see, I like to set my stitches first. You know, I always put this down on top of it first and then press it open. That's weird, my iron has some static electricity going. Okay, let's see, let's get this one pressed as well. Okay, so there is that one. Not squared up yet, but that's okay. And then the setting of the block is with your, oops, sorry Adam. Better put that back. Is with the little triangles going this direction, but the squares go this direction. So you can see that in the pattern as well, like right there. Okay, you can do it different ways too. You can do this. I would not do. This should be flipped around, so they should be together. But you can also, you know, put your colors outward too, if you prefer to. I didn't like the gray. I thought it was too much of an empty space to do it that way. So I like the green in there. I thought there was just too much empty gray right there. But if you wanted to quilt a really nice design there, you could. Then, let me move on to this part. I'm going to put together a little 4 patch for you. Just slip that up here. And I like to lock my seams. Because I've pressed always to the gray, they'll lock just fine. And get my icky threads out of the way. I used to only have a featherweight when I was first learning to quilt, and I made so many quilts on that little thing, which brings me to another thing I want to talk about with you guys in a little bit after I talk to you about the hammer foot, and that is maintenance on the machines and how wonderful they are. I mean, they just take care of themselves, you know. So, but we'll talk about that in a tiny bit. So let me open these up. Lovely little 4 patches. Sometimes it's just so relaxing sewing squares. So you don't have to worry about it. And the other one's like right here, but I don't have that one sewn together yet. So when you're assembling it, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's just a straight up 9 patch. I can put a couple together for you, and then we'll move on to our hammer foot. Let's get that in there. Get my starter. And since we squared the triangle, or, you know, squared it up, or it is perfectly measured. It'll sew a great. It's just nice to have a be able to do perfect seams and have everything match up. So squaring up, even though it seems like it's time consuming, totally worth it. Okay, so there's the first one. It'll be up there at the top. And then the next one would be this one. No, I'm wrong. It would be that one. So, all right. What do we got here for time? Okay, let's sew that one on, and then we'll just have at least one row done. And it'll end up looking like this, as you can see. Let me put this on here. So I was thinking about this when I was preparing for class. Why do I love my featherweight so much? So I was going to ask all of you guys, what's the attraction of the featherweight for you? Now, I will tell you, for me, it's portability and relaxing sewing. So I'm flying to Portland next week, and do you think I'm going without one of my featherweights? I am not. I will be going with it. So I take one with me all the time when we go camping, which is rare lately. When we used to take our RV out, we haven't done that for a while. But I take it. They're so little, you can take them anywhere. I think it's really nice for me to be able to just grab the little box and go. So you guys just give me your ideas of what makes them so appealing to you. And besides, they're so cute. That's another thing. Okay, here's that row. And Adam, you let me know if anybody has a fun thing about why they love their featherweight so much. This is how this is going to end up. Okay, so it's an easy, quick block. You can make a giant quilt out of it because they are fast, and it's kind of mindless sewing. Okay, any questions about that? Put them into the what is that thing called, Adam? Just type it into the comments. That's it. So now let's move on to the hammer foot. This is the hammer foot. I can just put that right there. Can you see that? Or you want me to put it in the close-up, Adam? Would that be better?
I can zoom in.
Oh, okay. There you go. And I'm not very good at that. I practiced on it, and but I can show you what it does. And then I'm also going to show you my mistakes too. So I practiced quite a bit. This is how, this one doesn't look very good. This one doesn't look very good. So expect a little bit of, my hem is a little, cattywampus. It does have a learning curve. It's not, as Marianne said, it's not for the faint of heart, this particular foot, but it is doable, and it does give you a really nice turned under hem that you don't have to press that little part under and then press everything else, and then sew it down. So it will do that for you. So we're gonna do our attempt over here at the little machine over here. First though, in all the things that I've learned and that I watched and that Marianne showed me, it's good to get this pressed a little bit first. So whatever you want for your hem, say you want, whatever this is, maybe an inch, not even 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to press that on. And then I'm going to press it all the way down. But I'm not going to press the entire part that you have to turn on to get the nice finished edge. I'm not going to press that. So, except for the first couple of inches to get it tucked in to the foot. So I'm pressing that down, and that will give me a good start. Another thing I learned, and I'm going to go right back here to this machine now, Adam. Another thing I learned about this, rather than starting with the foot on my machine, I start with the foot off my machine. So what I'm going to do, and where's my... And what are some of the, I'm trying to remember, this makes a beautiful finished hem on, like back in the day when people had these, it makes a beautiful finished hem on like your table linens, and where you could do your little handwork on there too. That was one of the things that they mentioned. So can you see this okay, Adam? Am I doing all right? Okay, so if you look at this foot, there's a little hook right there. So can you see that? It kind of curves under it, and that's what's going to roll the little teeny tiny, like 1/16 of an inch under. But I'm not going to pay attention to that right now. I'm going to put this in first, and I'm going to have this part butted up against this part of the foot. So it slides in under that. This is also the measurement for the width of your hem. Now my knowledge of this is very limited, but there's a lot of things that you can do with the hammer foot, and you can see them in your little book if you have a featherweight book. So I'm going to lift that up just a bit. This is pretty tight between this and that other part that it goes around. So it will kind of hold it for you.
You need to go a little bit further out.
Like here?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let me move that machine a little bit. So I'm going to just take this, kind of work that fabric up. As you can see from the back, I'm just kind of sliding it up. And come on, get in there. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm still new. Got to get that rolled under. All right. And even though it seems like it doesn't work well this way, I'm telling you it works so much better for me without having it on the machine. Okay, so now I've gotten to this point where I'm going to want this little part that I pressed under, this first couple of inches, I want that to go tucked into that little hook right there. So if you don't catch that, you get a really nasty, ugly seam. And then but you know it real quickly. All right. Seems like a lot of work, but it does get you a nice finish. And then you're going to want to pull this past that hole right there, because that's where your needle's going to go down. Okay? So I'm going to lay that down for a second so I can get past that. All right. There we go. Now it's kind of just clipped in there, and I'm going to put this back in. All right. So now most people want to start with the thread. Well, you do want to start with the thread down in that hole, but it's impossible for me to do that since I started with this off of the machine. So it looks like it might make a tangle, but it won't, I promise. It hasn't for me so far. All right, now let me see. Is this okay, Adam? Okay. So I'm going to hold those threads, and I'm just gently going to get started. Oh, press your foot down, of course. And as you feed this through, you kind of want to pull the back a little bit. Don't yank on it, but kind of veer it toward that way a little bit. And then you're going to want to hold your front. Don't pull on it, but just hold it steady. So let me get a little fingerful of that. And so what I'm trying to do is keep this portion pressed up against the edge of the hammer foot. So it keeps my straight seam, the seam I pressed in, nice and straight. All right, so let's get going. Try not to let it roll, and you can see my little thread that wasn't through it. I can just cut that right off when I get done with it. So keep this little flat edge right against the edge of the hammer foot there. I'm not really watching this part because that's going to do its thing without me having to take care of it. It's going to tuck it under because of that little curl. So once you get going, I'm starting to roll off a little. As you can see, I'm not that good at it, but I did practice it about 8 or 9 times. All right, we're still catching. Looks like we are. But you can see how nicely that tucks under. And it is just right on the edge of sewing. Okay, so that one looks pretty good. So I was going to tell you also some of the ideas out of the book. I printed the inside pages of the book. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Really, you can do pretty wide hems with that. You can do up to, I think it was more than an inch. And you can also spread the foot way out. So in this diagram right here, which I did not try this, you can spread it out like that. Let me see if I can do that. Let me get that off there. And this part can spread wide open. And do that part. Farther apart than that, although I can't really get this one open right now. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. But you can spread it really far out so you can increase your hem to more than 1 inch. Oh, sorry. That's me. And then they've given you a whole bunch of ideas of what you can use it for in your little green book. It's like sewing lace lace inserts in things. What else did they say? Hemming soft material, sewing the edges of your linen towels, your linen tablecloths, things like that. So it's pretty old school, but you know, it's a fun historical kind of thing that this machine will do. I personally don't do any of that anymore. All I do is make quilts, but that's some of the beauties of this hemming foot, and it does do a really good job. It is a standard attachment that comes with your machine, you know, when they were selling them back in the day. So everyone, if you've got a complete featherweight when you purchased it, then you should have one of these in there. It might look old and dingy and horrible, but they clean up really nicely too. So I think that is all I need to show you about that. You can see they do a nice job. They do really nicely. It just takes practice if you want to use that foot. If you have any questions or anything else for me, like I said, put it in the comments. And then a couple of things I wanted to ask you too. I've heard from some of the people who used to be in the club that was here in the store that you liked doing some of the little do-it-yourself DIY little projects we did for the 3 hours that we were in our meetings. If you have some ideas of projects you want to do, little quick things that we can do, just give instructions for even, let me know, put them in your comments, and then let's see, what else did I have about that? Oh yes, if you also, because I'm not an expert, I know a lot about featherweights, but I'm not the expert about featherweights. If you have any tips and maintenance ideas for your machine, or what you've done that has really worked well for you, put those in comments too so everybody else can read them. I do have a few. I talked to Alan, he's the one who works on the featherweights here in our shop. He said these are his suggestions and they're all really good. Probably most of you know them, but sometimes you forget about them. So he said keep them clean and oiled. There's a little oiling chart. You can get those online. You can find them lots of places. Just put in featherweight oiling chart. Websites will pop up for you. Use a fresh needle all the time. Keep the bobbin area clean. The bobbin is always, if there's going to be a problem with your sewing, it's going to be in the bobbin or the threading. So generally for a featherweight, because there's not much more to it. What else did he say? Oh yes, Alan, you said keep it dusted, but don't use canned air, right? Yeah. Okay. And then really, that's about all I do. I do keep mine dusted off. I don't clean mine with anything other than a very, very lightly damp cloth, which would really just take the dust off of it. And other than that, that's all I do for it. Use them though, because they want to be used. They're meant to be used. And that's pretty much all I've got today.
So Suzanne, someone's wondering if you could show the front side of that hem that you did.
Oh yes, This is how it looks.
And I'll zoom in on that.
Okay. Can you see that all right? I used the darkest thread I had, so, and then, let's see, I'm going to show one of my janky ones. That one, I did a pretty poor job on that one. That was one of my practices. This is today. So I'm improving. So, okay.
And then we had several questions about how do you clean the attachments on a featherweight.
Okay, so the last time someone said that they've used I think Marianne said she used an ultrasonic machine. I have not cleaned any of my attachments because I couldn't find my bag, but I found it yesterday when I was cleaning out one of my other featherweights. So they're just a soapy solution, something nice and light. This one right here is black. It's meant to be black. There's two different kinds. There's the shiny silver one, and then there's this one that's black. Like, I'm trying to see. I know I've got mine somewhere. Oh no, I didn't bring it with me today because I had this one. But mine are silver. I'm just going to use a nice soapy solution. I think there's probably other things that people have used as well. Jewelry cleaner. Don't use anything that's like a solvent or something, I think. I can't remember what I've read, but you can find online many good ways to take care of that, because these do get really grimy and dirty looking. Susan was going to help me today, but she had to be out on the floor. But come back and say hi, Susan. Susan has a featherweight now too. She had it. What,
Hi,
you
everybody.
learned to sew on it, right?
Yes, I learned to sew
Yeah.
on my mother's featherweight,
Yeah.
and then I have a little one that doesn't get used enough. So
Time to get it out.
this little orange one is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that's my buttercup. So,
Can they see Buttercup?
oh yeah, I think Adam's had her showing quite a bit. Yeah,
There's Buttercup. It's a perfect name. So
yeah. So, any other questions on there, Adam?
I think that's
Okay.
I think that's everything. So
Okay. Well, honestly, it is just fun to get together and just a little social community here for us with our featherweights, because we all love them and we all like to look at them and we all like to ooh and ah over them and name them. So any questions or anything, I'll run through all the comments. I always look through them, and Marianne always looks through and she tries to answer for you as well. So, all right. I think that's it for today. So we'll see you guys in February. I think it's the 25th. Oh, and I'll have a new grandbaby by then.